Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Darrell. We're back for an episode of Green and Gold Over Everything. You probably said, Darrell, where in the world have you been? Look, it's been a long year for your boy. And me and the fellas, we apologize because, it's been ragged. But, we couldn't let, season 2 kind of end without giving our opinions on how this Packers season ends. We in for an episode, y'all, because there's a lot to be said and a lot to be talked about today. But, of course, I got my guys, Randall Burns, Dishon, Rucker. We're going to come in here. We're going to talk to you about how we felt the way this season and the way this season ended, what things the Packers need to do to really improve in the future. But there's a lot to talk about, a lot of disappointment, but there's also some relief there. So let's go ahead and get into it. Green and Gold Over Everything, Season 2, Episode 11. And once again, I do apologize. It's been so long, y'all. Let's get the party started.
Here's Love. Taps it a couple times. Going end zone. Caught. Dobbs. Touchdown.
From the Atlanta 32. Off the play fake. Love fires over the middle. And it's caught for a first down. And a touchdown. By Dontavian Alexander this afternoon. Carr taken down on third down. Kenny Clark, the two-time Pro Bowler. 9, second quarter underway. Carr down. Back at the 16-yard line, Rashawn Garrett. Here's Reed. And Reed wins. And Reed got a block and a touchdown. Looking Kelsey's way. Takes it behind. He's sacked by Luke Van Ness. Here comes the Chiefs. Pressure's on. Love. Enzo Watson. Oh, did he catch that? He did. Dobbs in motion. Love. Flips it to the end zone. Touchdown. Got that one. Jones runs down the face. Fake it to him here. Love. Back foot. Has a man wide open. It's going to be caught by Musgrave. Racing towards the end zone. He is in. Touchdown. Green Bay. 3rd and 5. 4-man rush. Prescott fires for Cooks. And it's intercepted. Jair Alexander. He's got it. Up on his feet. Racing to the end zone. And it's in. Touchdown. Green Bay.
Oh, well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that intro because that's the last time you'll see that sucker. It'll look completely different next year, obviously, with highlights from this past season. But yeah, man, there's a couple people on there. I don't know. They might maybe that guy at the end. He might not.
That last one.
Ooh, but look, once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in. And of course, so I got my guys with me. And let me go ahead and start off with my guy, Mr. Randall Burns. Randall, how you doing today, sir? How's everything going?
Feeling great.
Randall's feeling good, y'all. Randall's feeling good. Of course, my man, Mr. Dishon Rucker. How you doing, brother?
Hey, man, kicking and screaming. I do not believe Burns about him feeling great. He had that Pooh Shiesty on before we started, so that thing going around.
Hey, yo, man.
he been eating a lot of chicken lately.
Hey, Look, man, so fellas, obviously, we're here in semi-somber mood, but also we know that this is going to be a very interesting offseason for a very young Green Bay Packers team. So over the last couple of years, we talked about the youth of this team. We've talked about and how there's been an advantage to an extent, but we also talked about how not having the veterans has been a disadvantage at times and sometimes an advantage. So, but before we get into all that, I want to kind of get your thoughts on how this team finished off the season. I think the last time we were on here, which would have been around like week 11-ish, right after the 49ers. So before the 49ers game, the last time we were on here. So we saw them beat the 49ers, saw them beat the Dolphins. They beat Seattle. They were looking good. They beat the Saints. It was like, okay, look at this. And then you lose to the Vikings, and then you lose to the Bears. That'll never sit right with me, no matter what the situation is. But they lose to 2 division rivals. Then on top of that, when you finish it all, yes, you go 11-6, but you go 1-5 in the division. That doesn't even even when I heard it out loud, I was like, we went 1-5 in the division. It doesn't sound right. Yes, with 2 great teams in the division with the Vikings and the Packers. And the Lions. But just to not split, those games, or at least go 3-3, I could have dealt with that. but the 1-5 is a no-go. But anyway, fellas, we'll start off. I'll ask kindly, who wants to go first? Because I'm feeling like somebody's got the itch to go first, and I saw Dishon Powers.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and toss it to Burns because we started with Burns talking junk this year. We're gonna finish with Burns talking junk this year.
All right. So just for clarity, are we talking about how we feel about this team, or how we just feel about what's just the question that
I would say about one, how they ended the season, and just how do you feel about this team? So those two things: how they ended the season, and how you feel about this team right now.
The season ended. I think we all saw this coming. This shouldn't be a surprise to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Tucker Kraft said it in the locker room when everybody's playing out their locker room that they felt that this was coming. This shouldn't have been a surprise to anybody. And I will go back to what I said the night that 10 hurt his knee. Season's over. We was all in that group chat that night. And I said it because I thought he tore his ACL. Season ain't been right since he hurt his knee. This season never felt like this team found their footing. Too many times I heard from Matt. Wait, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, hear you fine.
Yeah. Too many times I heard from Matt, like, we're almost there. Even beat writers too, they'd always say that, like, yo, they're right there. Just something that's not clicking. I went back before the Eagles game and I watched that first game of the season. He has never looked like that same quarterback at any point in the season. Even in the game against the Saints, where we blew him out and destroyed him defensively, he didn't have a good game.
No, they had the
ball. Even against Seattle, he didn't have a good game.
Nope.
He has not played a complete game all season. And this is one of those teams where, as the offense goes, we goes. I have, as long as Jeff Hafley comes back next year, or Robert Saleh, the DC, if he gets. Well, I think Aaron Glenn's going to get that Jets job. That's the only team that asked Hafley to interview for him. And I think Aaron Glenn's going to get it. Aaron Glenn said he wants it. And shout out to you, Aaron Glenn, for not being a pawn and interviewing with the Patriots.
Yeah, she was super shout out for that. Bull crap.
Good on you.
Right.
Bull crap for the Patriots.
As long as Hafley comes back or Saleh, I'm not worried about the defense at all. Even with the injuries, they played well. I think they know who's supposed to be here, who's not going to be here, and where they're supposed to be, and they're going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, I'm not even mad at 10 because, and y'all have said this. I mean, I've said this, and y'all know. So I've said I look at him and CJ as two guys on the same track. Even though 10's been, and I hear people say, "Oh, he's been in the league 5 years." The man didn't play football for 4 damn years.
Right, that's true. This is true.
Right.
Like, this is your second year. This is CJ's second year. They both pressed all year, and you go back and you traditionally look at a rookie's second year. If a rookie had a really good first year, that second year is pretty hard because now everybody's got film on you, and we're gonna go. We see what you like, and we're gonna counter it. Now it's on Jordan in the off season to get his counters, like boxing. Now you got to figure out how you counter what everybody's been throwing at you. Matt said it, and we've all said it. The footwork is still a problem. His own QB coach, I remember at the end of the season, he posted, "That is not how I've trained this man to have his feet. I don't know what he's doing. We'll fix it."
It's crazy.
I think the injury made it worse. So whatever he worked on the offseason, this man didn't get to show that.
Mm-hmm.
He did look better after that Detroit game, but it still makes me mad because, and Ruck said it, he should never play the Detroit game. You should have had 2 weeks to sit down and heal.
Yep.
And that was on him. And I think that was on, and I'm not going to say it's on the Packers medical staff because we have a traditionally super cautious medical staff. Jordy actually thanked them in his Packer Hall, that Ring of Fame induction. He said, "This is a medical staff that made me sit down when I wanted to play, and I probably would have went out there and really did some damage to myself that I wouldn't have been able to recover from."
Mm-hmm.
So seeing them let that man play tells me that he was pushing it. Okay, cool. That's what you want to do? No problem. I was 26 years old too, and I remember one time calling my boy up, "Yo, I think I could jump off the Empire State Building and live."
Oh, wow.
26. It's stupid. So yeah, I get it, but Now on to how I feel about this team going forward. Listening to those guys in the locker room, with the exception of Jair, everybody said the right thing. Everybody said they ain't like how this feel. Everybody.
Whoa. Not 10. Not 10.
Did you listen to 10? Not after the game, the following day when they were clearing out the lockers.
Okay, I need to go back and listen to that. Because we talked about what 10 said.
Yeah, we talked. Yeah, I didn't like his after the game. Clearing out the lockers. There's things I need to work on. There's things I need to clear up. There's turnovers I got to work on. Perfect. You're finally saying I, and you're not saying them and they and we.
Good.
Tucker Craft, beautiful. Called people out. Said there's things going on in the locker room. People shouldn't be here. And as much as I think Keyshawn Nixon stinks, good on you, young man, that you think you could be CB1.
Yeah. I'm glad he think that.
If you truly believe that, then you go out there and you bust your behind all. Wait.
We're not going to fall for the banana.
Listen what I just said. I said you believe it.
I'm not going to let you or Darrell. I will continue to interrupt this whole joint. I'm not going to let neither one of y'all get on national TV and tell that lie. Stop
can I finish?
Do not listen.
Can I finish?
You know, because you know what it is. I want to make this statement right now. Right? Just like, certain people say about Michael Jordan, the one we don't talk about. We don't talk about 2-5 on this show.
Because
say his name again, and it's going to get crazy. I got a speaker.
That's hilarious.
I got a whole bunch of stuff over here. Keep playing with me if you want to. Go ahead.
We know he's not even CB4.
Okay, hold on.
But if you have that ambition, then you go work at it. You
think I'm playing?
You probably a safety. You definitely shouldn't be returning kicks anymore. You probably shouldn't be on this team. But I admire your ambition. And then listening to Goot today.
Relax.
This is how I feel. Because Goot put it all in perspective. Do you remember what he said at the end of last season? They were like, well, you guys made the playoffs. Are you going to push up the timeline? Nope. This is still a team that's in a rebuild.
That's the crazy part.
Take a step back. I think we forgot that as fans.
Agreed.
If you lose Dave Bakhtiari, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, Preston Smith,
12.
Zaire.
12.
Yep.
Like, all the people we've lost, no cap space. Knowing you was gonna have no cap space, and you made the playoffs 2 years in a row.
That is impressive. Ahead of the curve.
And he said something that Bill Parcells said, and I used to hear Bill Parcells always say this. Up here we got WFAN. That's the big sports network. It was Mike Francesa and Chris Russo. And one thing, some people don't like Mike Francesa, but his historical knowledge of the game is incredible. And he would always talk about a young team has, and he would say, this is what Bill Parcells told him, a young team has what's called an innocent climb. You figure out the players that are going to be part of the program. That's your base.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have some really back-breaking losses.
Right.
And you figure out who does that light a fire under. Those are the dudes you're keeping. Then you fill in those pieces with free agency, and then the championship window opens. And Goot's exact words today were, I don't want to hear about youth. These guys have now played in 3 playoff games.
True.
It's time for them to start competing for championships.
Right.
Once I heard him say that, I said, all right, green lights open. And they asked him about cap space. He said, I'm not going to give you the exact number, but we have space to add people, whether that's through free agency, whether it's through trades, whether it's through the draft. He goes, I'm going to use the money, but I want to be flexible. That's about veteran wide receivers. He was like, I think the guys in the locker room have the talent, but I'm not going to say that I'm not going to look for a wide receiver. He said whether it's through
you better look.
You mother sucker.
He said whether it's through trade, free agency, draft. He was like, that's something we got to look at. They asked about Jair. He said, I want to make sure I get it right. It's close to what he said. He said, there's frustration on both sides. He goes, he would like to be on the field more. We would like to be on the field more. In exact words, he said, we could pay him. He said, but we got to sit down and talk to him because there's a bit of a disconnect.
No.
I took that as this man's not coming back.
And then I hate to say it, that's the way it probably should be.
They asked about Brad McManus. He's like, I definitely want him back. They asked about Quay and Devontae Wyatt's 5th-year option. He said, I saw the media reports about Quay. He's like, I believe he played a lot better than people thought in the second half of the year. If he doesn't get hurt, he was like, I really want to see what it looks like when him and Cooper are both healthy and on the field at the same time.
Okay.
They asked about the pass rush. He said, if certain guys don't get healthy, we're playing a lot more rush 4 and have more coverage on the back end. He said, ideally, that's what they would like to do. He said, but I'm pleased with how the defense played. They asked him about Jordan. He said, I'm not going to use the injury as an excuse, but it did hamper him a bit. He goes, I saw him do some good things. I saw him do some bad things. He said, but he knows what he needs to work on. He was like, he is fully entrenched. He's our starter. He's our leader. He needs to act like it. Good job. You hold this man accountable. They asked him about injuries going forward. He said, the only injury I see affecting us going into next year is Christian. He said, everybody else seems like they'll be healthy enough to start the season.
That's good.
But I love the fact that he was like, it is now time for these men to compete for championships.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is probably the last year they could have used the youth excuse.
Yep.
Because they're going to be they should still be a good team again next year. And I haven't looked at the schedule. But I know they do play the NFC
schedule
East.
Is very interesting.
Yeah,
and we got the AFC North.
Yeah, so they got the AFC North and the AFC East. Your boy I should be blessed to go to Lambeau next year. I am extremely excited. If I don't do any other game next year, that's the one. But besides all that, I like what he said. I mean, if those things are what I need to hear as a fan, knowing that you understand where this team stands at. So good job, Good, on that. I mean, I'm pretty sure that he's going to figure it out. But it's good to know that they're going to try to spend some money. I don't expect them to go crazy, because as you can see, when he does sign free agents,
he knocks it out the park.
They hit. So he's going to make sure whoever they bring in is the right person for the culture. Also, and what they want.
They fired the defensive line coach.
Bye.
And from what the beat reporters were saying was that there were players on the defensive line that felt like he wasn't as good of a technique teacher as the Packers felt that they were.
Absolutely. Wyatt and Slayton.
And they said that the defensive players started complaining to the organization, like, look, this dude is just a motivational guy. I didn't realize this, but he got hired off the strength that he was getting credit for the development of Josh Allen down in Jacksonville. And it pretty much was like, no, you were not the reason that this dude is good. And they're now interviewing the Jets defensive line coach.
That should be a good pickup if they end up going
Very
that
good
route.
Pickup.
Should be a really good pickup. He's done a really good job with that defensive line.
And as much as like I wish we'd have won, it seems like this loss put everything into perspective for Matt, because they asked Matt about play action. They asked Matt about Jordan's progression, and he was like, I have to do a better job of giving him the answers. He was like, the game is like a test. I need to make sure that whatever questions are asked by the defense, I'm providing the team with answers to the questions. He's like, a lot of these slow starts, that's on me. He was like, but I also need Jordan to speak up more. He's like, it's time for him to be that vocal leader. He was like, everybody in the locker room respects him. So if he calls somebody out, nobody's going to have an issue with it. Followed up, they asked some guys in the locker room about it. We ain't got no problem with 10 tells us we doing something wrong, because we see the work that he puts in. So it kind of seems like they all get it. Like, okay, time is now. Everybody got to step the game up, from the players to management to coaching staff.
So just to jump in real quick, Burns, like, here's the feeling that I have in the locker room, right? I don't think the players, because of their youth, have a problem with each other. I don't think the players, because of their youth, have a problem checking each other. I mean, if it was ever evident, the conversation that X and Valentine had on the sideline was evident that they don't have a problem talking to each other, checking each other, demanding more out of each other. And I honestly will say this, I think they have a problem communicating with the coaching staff that has been assembled, Matt included. Because the one thing that Matt can never run from is that not only did 12 not have a problem talking to people in the locker room or talking around them, which he was very famous for, but he had no problem directly talking to Matt too. And the one thing that 12 would never do is, listen, we're going to collaborate on this offense. You not going to handcuff me. And you can see it in Jordan's unshakable face, his frustration when he was getting handcuffed. So my thing is, have a conversation. It is without question who the leader of the team is, and I'm totally fine with it, right? I'm so happy that Goop made the move that he did, because anytime that 10 is going to need some help, and especially galvanizing that locker room, 2 is there and he can do the job for him as well, because those guys follow him too. So we have leaders, but I think
I don't think we do have leaders.
Huh?
I don't think we do have leaders.
No.
Well, I'll say this: we have 2.
We have leaders, but they're young leaders, right?
I wouldn't say that. We have 2. It's 8 and it's 29, and it's no coincidence that it's the 2 Alabama guys.
Right.
True.
Because they understand leadership. But here's the other thing, and we talked about this in our chat the whole time. Even those 2 themselves are still young leaders, because the only time that they've experienced winning is at Alabama. They haven't had winning in the NFL, right? So what could have really even helped their development if Jones was back there too?
Oh,
because now you're listening. If there is a credible veteran presence that says, yeah, what they saying, even I'm following. The OG is following.
That's true.
You're listening. Now, the other thing is, from the coaching perspective, listen, Matt is going to say all the right things now. Everybody's going to say the right things the day after, right? Because, we're in the age that publicists will jump on you and say, hey, man, the way you look yesterday, don't do that again tomorrow. Because the mic's going to be in front of your face.
But the Green Bay media don't do that to these dudes.
No. It's not even. So here's the thing, right? It's not even just the Green Bay media. Again, because we are who we are, it's national media. Because we're in the age that we are, it's social media, right? These things and these sound bites go viral all over the world. So it ain't even that.
Like everybody else, like you don't see us leading off ESPN or them playing.
I put it to you this way. Not the fact that we lead on ESPN and we don't have to, but the fact that we have a young team that reads comments. They read comments.
Yeah.
So whether it's a credible news source or not, or it's just some idiot typing, they read it and they have to be aware. But again, I digress. Away from Matt, because this is where I'm sitting with him. You have to demand more, right? If your players are saying that they're not getting enough out of their defensive line coach, if they even saying to Hapley and Hapley saying it to you, like, you got to listen, Matt. If people in the organization are saying, hey, Matt, listen, I know Jordan said he want to play, but listen, I think this is a game or 2 that we can kind of thug it out with 2.
Right.
Let's see what we get. Because, again, what happens, and I'll go to his first comment when we had the press conference, he said, one of the things that would have helped is that we get these games as a home playoff game. What does that is that winnable games like we had against Detroit and Minnesota, we win, right? Other non-conference games, we pull those out so we can play in Lambeau. And that's what a young team needs. Like, the reason that we were so high on the fact of being the Road Warriors last year is because we finished the season strong.
Right.
We finished the season under 500 in the last 5 games. That's crazy. And like you said, none of the offense looked good. So at some point, somebody, the head of the ship, has to say something. And if I'm him, I'm not only looking at, okay, the D-line coach and all that. Listen, everybody around this mother sucker got to change. And if I'm Matt, I'm putting my pride to the side, and I'm doing what I see a lot of great coaches do. And Dan Campbell did it himself. You go get people that can not only motivate, but teach the position. If I'm him and I'm saying to Happy, like, yo, you my boy, you my man, yo, I appreciate everything you did. You need to go get a head coaching job, right? I'm going to push you so you can get one. because Rob, I need you to take this defense over. You know what else I'm doing? I'm getting on the fucking phone and I'm saying, hey, Gerard, they did you dirty. Come in and be a linebackers coach on this defense.
Why would you move on from Hafley? He did a great job.
No, I'm not saying.
No,
but
I think he was saying like move if go to head coach, push him.
If he happens to leave, but then again, I would also say, just like Dan Campbell is doing, push your guys. If you believe in your guys like you say you do, push them. Dan Campbell has been on many sources saying, yo, if y'all don't hire Aaron, if y'all don't hire Ben, like y'all crazy. Push your guys. And if you and here's the thing that I want to understand about coaches. You got to have an extra tree besides the one that you came from. So why can't you get on the phone with certain people and talk to them? Because that's what the team needs. Like, if anybody else can teach a freak athlete to play a linebacker outside or inside position, it would be a Gerard Mayo. So why not make a call?
The sense that I've seen from a lot of the writers is Matt's not good at hiring position coaches.
He's terrible. It hasn't worked out so far.
I mean, listen, you said it just about special teams, right?
That was crazy because
so
Bisaccia was coming off being that interim coach for the Raiders and doing a good job, and everybody said he was a great special teams coach, and it hasn't gotten better.
No,
that one I don't understand. But I'm gonna circle back to your point about 12. 12 will call people out, but he did a shit job at doing it. Because you saw how he would get on people, and you've seen how these dudes gravitate to Jordan. Because here's the thing I've always said about 12, and you see it. He'll call people out, but he'll never take accountability. Never take accountability. Ever.
Yo, but you know the difference between 12 and 10, and here's the thing. I totally agree with you. I think 12's passive aggressive sarcasm and all that stuff.
Staring at people.
Yeah, it definitely alienated a lot of people. But the one thing that players would not be able to say, except for the last year, right, is they wouldn't say that 12 couldn't produce. They wouldn't be able to say that, right? Like he going not talk to you or give you the stare, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, he's gonna lead a drive that's gonna end in us scoring some points. If defenses are able to get him the ball back, opposing defenses are now scared. And that's the one thing that I think Jordan took a step back from, just like you said, CJ, in terms of his maturation from last year. Like, yes, you got the same face that you had last year, but it didn't look like the same belief, right?
Yeah.
It looked shaky. It looked like you were pressing. And again, I understand the growth in a second-year quarterback. You know, my hope is that he takes that same leap that we see a lot of quarterbacks do in their third year. But what I would like to see is, listen, again, from the coaching aspect, you have to help him more, right? Like Tom Brady did our whole game, and he said, you know, the Packers are devoid of what they usually do as a quick game.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't have a quick game pretty much all year. So if you don't, and here's the thing that you got to know about NFL offenses. If you don't have a quick game, you probably will have a poor play action game, which will definitely affect the run, right? So everything that we tried to do, they're now loading up on everything because they're saying, listen, if you're going to run the ball and you're going to beat us, okay, beat us that way. But now we kind of don't believe you. So now it's going to be 8, 9 in the box. And that's what happened. That's what Philly did to us. And it's sad because even from a personnel standpoint, you know, we entered the year with our offensive line looking shaky. And I don't think we did anything really to address it throughout the year.
Here's the thing. Jordan was one of the least sacked QBs in the league. Like, the offensive line played fine.
Listen, they played above their head, just like I feel like our defense did. But I think, again, when you look at certain positions, and I'm not even mad about how they played in Philly. Like, they got on the young man, Telton or whatever his name is.
And the other
that's not his fault. Like, he was thrown into the biggest game of his life, and he was asked to produce against a straight monster.
Yeah,
So
it had to be rough.
yeah. So I'm, again, I'm not
time out real quick. Darrell, you might not get this one, but Ruck will. Folks, if you've never seen what a kid that was probably in the juvenile justice system looks like when he is adult, and Ruck, you know what I'm going to say? Jalen effing Carter. You can't, I guarantee you, and I'm not trying to disparage young man, but I know you spent some time in the juvenile justice system.
That's crazy work.
Ruck, you know that face when you are trying to tell a kid that it's time to go to his room.
Crazy work.
Like,
that's crazy.
When I see him yelling to Nick Sirianni, I say, yeah, that's a detention kid. You've been in some group homes because those are the only type of people that argue with authority and know that I'm not going to either suffer no consequences or I'm just going to fight you.
Right.
As soon as I saw him talking like that, I text my boy. I said, what do you think Jalen Carter is? He said, that's a detention kid. I said, all right, just want to make sure I wasn't crazy.
I think that's funny, but y'all been in the field, so you know what it's all about. And that's too funny. I'll say this about this season. I will say it's been a little bit harder for me to kind of concentrate on the season with everything going on outside of Packer stuff for myself. But the biggest thing that I saw this season is just it felt like passion. It felt like the passion, or maybe the energy I thought I would see from this team just never came about. I really thought that I'm not going to say I thought this team would go to the Super Bowl, but even though it almost felt like they took a step back. Even though they won more games.
Say that one more time.
This felt like a team that saw all the hype, saw Dan Orlovsky say Jordan should be an MVP candidate.
Yeah,
this team should win the NFC North, and they thought they was going to walk on the field and all that stuff was just going to happen.
Nah.
Right.
And when it didn't go their way, they didn't know how to respond. And as I said, I'd have to apologize. Ruck is right, is a coaching issue.
Yeah, it's again. I
it's
told
also
you
management because you didn't bring in no veterans.
Yeah, I told you at the end of the last year. I said, you know what? I'm with the youth movement. Let's go. So again, I think everybody really has to take a step back and say, like Burns said, and the player said it yourself. We are still the youngest team in the league,
and probably be the youngest team in the league next year. So
it's right. It's gonna stay this way. They're going to grow. We're gonna have these pains, but again, I'm looking for and Goot said the right things, right? That we're looking for 10 to kind of do what he needs to do because he knows. We're looking for a lot of these players to do that.
Yeah.
But again, I think our coaches have to just take a separate space to themselves and say, okay, how can we serve this team better? Because at some point, and I've been saying this to y'all for years, it cannot no longer be about making the playoffs.
No,
it has to be about winning. It has to be about winning. That's the one thing that I hate and I love about Cowboys fans. They always think they're going to the Super Bowl. And we can't be a fan base that says, well, we the Packers. We made the playoffs. Nah, bro. Especially when we've done things, two teams in this league where we've made it look, even in this season, we've made it look very easy. Like, even though Jordan had a horrible game, even though the Saints were down and they had some, listen, for our defense to play like they played against them and for us to just stumble into a 30-0 win, like that's something. Yeah. For us to have the second half that we had against the Vikings and the Lions, throwing 3-4 touchdowns, coming like
that's the frustrating part.
Right.
Yeah, because it's the turn on, okay, all of a sudden it's just like, I don't know what snaps, but it's like you see them turn it on. That's the frustrating part. You're like, okay, you look both Vikings games, you look miserable in the first half. Then you see them starting to come back. And I got a guy, one of my boys, man, my man Dula, he's one of the photographers with me on the field. He's a Packers fan. And the first thing he said was, bro, if they don't stop, he gets so frustrated. It's like, he said, they're going to come back, right? I said, I know they're going to come back. Are they going to win? I said, probably not. That's how bad it was. We both knew that the comeback was coming, but we knew they weren't going to be able to pull it off. Right. You can't keep playing from behind and thinking that you're going to be able to play. We're going to be able to play from behind and win these games, man. I always say that the one thing I wish this team had was a Bill Belichick mentality. And when it came to, or at least Matt did, when it comes to like going up against teams, Bill used to he didn't care. I'm gonna beat you until there's 2 minutes left in the game, and then I'll slow up. That's the mentality I want my coach to have. I want to keep putting up points. Let people be mad at you. Who cares? Put up points. Put these games away. They got the talent to do it. I mean, they got the talent to there'll be times you'll be like, wow, look how easy that was. It looks so effortless. And then you'll see them do stuff and you'll be like, what was that, my friend?
Listen, we had a touchdown drive in that Philly game that made it look like this is not going to be a problem, right? It really made it look like that. And then what happens is the defense gets a 3 and out. We get the ball back, and then it looks like everybody says, yo, we ain't even supposed to have this. Like, y'all want it back? Here.
Nah, we don't need it.
Take it back.
Two things. Devontae said something that really, and I think he is angling to come back. But the lady kid asked him, like, what do you think Jordan needs? And he was like, in basketball, because he was talking about how he played basketball, he goes, you'd always identify a guy like, look, I need you to go get me a bucket. Just go get me a bucket. He said Jordan doesn't have a wide receiver that you could just say, hey, go get me a bucket. Like, I can throw to you and you're always going to catch it. And I'm like, damn, he's right.
Yo, he doesn't. Because if you think about it, right? Well, I'll say this. I think 87 is the bucket getter. I don't think he's the primary bucket getter. So if we had to compare it to basketball, Devontae is definitely Steph. I say 87 is Clay. Because if you looked at the progression of the season, when we needed a tough catch, he made it, right? I told y'all, Jay Reed, as much as I loved you, man, after week 7, I was like, where is Amon-Ra St. Brown? I'm coming to see you, bro. You and
they did something. They did something.
I don't know what y'all did to him.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm
voodoo, bro.
I'm coming to see y'all.
Yeah,
they also asked him about Wicks, what he thought about Wicks. And he said, that's me. And then, what do you mean? He goes, I had the exact same second year he had. He was like, I got open. He's like, but I got hurt. I couldn't catch the ball. And he was like, I'm not worried about him at all. He was like, he'll be fine.
Listen, I'm not worried about Wicks, Heath, or Melton. The only thing that I'm worried about with them is them starting to feel, especially if we say, hey, Devontae, come on back home. Especially
Melton's a free agent. So I don't think he'll be back. Melton's a free agent.
And they'll probably they're gonna let Heath or Wick, one of those guys, go too, right? Because again, if I'm Goot, I want to make sure that I can maintain the guys that Jordan is comfortable with, but I do want to have some real dogs that are there, like you said, a bucket getter or somebody like it. And I'm advocating solely for T, because somebody that we know is hungry, that knows how to play with a true number one, that is physical and a dog, and he can make every catch that you need him to make.
Should have drafted him in the first place.
So, Matt, if you draft him, you don't get Jordan.
No. I mean, wait a minute. But I thought they're in the same draft. Were they in the same draft?
Yep.
Shoot. All right, whatever.
Yeah. but look.
Right,
D, no, let's go back to the feeling, D. We got a chance to get him now, though.
We do.
I'll say this. And Matt, it's an honest question. When have the Packers ever paid a free agent wide receiver big time money?
Never.
It ain't gonna start now.
I don't think it's gonna start now.
But here's the thing. Like, again, if Goot is saying the stuff that he's saying, if he's leading the way that he's leading, right? And I think he did that last year with Josh and X, because honestly, we've never really done that either. Like, we've never made a move for a running back that was a young running back that was one of the tops in the league. Think of everybody that we got. It wasn't like that. We didn't go out and get somebody like that.
He caught him coming off a down year too.
So, but again, a down year that was still like in the tops of the league. We've never done that. Like we've never think about this, right? The most high profile defensive player that we ever got was Reggie, right?
No,
You
that
go
down year was not one of the tops in the league. He only ran for 800 yards. He was 3.5 yards a carry and 6 touchdowns.
wait, but think about it though. You talking about, but again, so
And remember, everybody was devaluing the running backs last season.
yes, but so here's the thing, right? I think the one thing that I think I will give Goot credit for is I think he does enough homework to keep him in smart conversations, right? So if you look at Josh and you look at what happened with that team that year and how he was utilized, and then the fact that Goot is smart enough and probably has enough resources that he can get on the phone with a Nick Saban and say, hey, what do you think about Josh? And Nick probably told him, if you want a leader, if you want a bell cow, go get him. And he probably said the same thing about X. So my thing is, if you're looking at some of these type players that you could bring in, like go get them. And then if I'm Goot, use the youth of this team. How all young boys want to play with each other. Let these guys go out and recruit for you. You ain't even got to get on the phone till later, right? You mean to tell me, like Josh don't know, like Josh ain't on the phone with Tay? They was there together. They was there together. You mean to tell me X ain't on the phone with certain players around the league that have played with him? Come on now.
While I agree with
those
you,
guys.
We also got to keep in mind there's just certain types of players teams they're not going to bring in, like they're never going to do. So
But
that's something that has to go.
We talking about are not problems.
No, I'm just saying.
T ain't never had no problems. And
hey, I'm not on Cincinnati radio. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the biggest thing with T does have some injury issues here.
He does get hurt.
So that is also a problem. You don't want a sexier version of Christian Watson coming into town. So you want somebody who's been at least stable. I mean, you miss a game or two here and there, that happens. But you don't want somebody who's consistently missing games. And when he's healthy, he's a dangerous man. And I'm a little nervous about him coming up to Green Bay in that cold weather.
And
he's used to that. He's been to Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's true. But it's a little bit colder in Green Bay. It's a little bit colder in Green Bay.
It ain't Green Bay, but listen, Ohio, it get there too.
It should be a little chilly in Ohio. Let me ask you this. Wild card one. So Aaron Jones is a free agent. Would you bring him back?
I'm not. Nah.
I mean, he's 1 year. He spent 1 year there.
Yo, get him on a Russell Wilson.
Dylan is gone.
Why I don't, because
get him on a Russell Wilson.
This is where I go back with the Goot thing. You got to give these young guys space to play, and I want to see what Marshawn Lloyd got, and I like what I saw out of Chris Brooks.
Yeah, Chris Brooks was good, but you still give me if you got a chance to get 33 back, I say you go get him. That's me personally. He shouldn't be gone in the first place. Should have never put on that stupid purple uniform.
But he should have took the pay cut.
Come on now. Don't do that.
Don't do it. You
Randell,
said it yourself.
Do that, man.
Don't do that right now.
Come on,
man.
bro.
Y'all know me.
Harmonious into the season. Don't do that now, bro.
Hey, man. And it's one thing. I'm the same guy Monday that you're going to get on Sunday. It's Green Bay first. I don't care what the name of the back. I don't care what the back of that jersey say.
I need Jones back.
It's a G on your helmet.
Hey, look, man.
I'm here for management.
He has a G in his heart. He said it himself.
And he should have took his pay cut.
Yo, you know better. Come on now, Randall. Man, he already took 3 pay cuts.
That's why I ain't saying nothing to him.
No, you know what? Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to know out of curiosity what you guys.
AJ Dillon took a pay cut.
AJ Dillon didn't play neither. He ain't gonna be back next year.
He broke his neck. God damn.
And
hit him with the stone cold.
He'll be back next year.
He's not coming back next year. He done. I mean, like you said, they got Lloyd, and they got Brooks, and they got Wilson. So I mean, running game wise, I'll be honest with you, the running game whether wasn't a problem to me. I do want somebody. I do want somebody that can make sure that we don't wear out Josh Jacobs. That you don't want that. He had an amazing year, Pro Bowl year, deserved every bit of what he got this year. I just don't want him to get wore out. I don't want him to get wore out because we're gonna need him for the long term. We got 25 now, 26. we got him at least a couple more years. We wanted to get the best years out of him. So,
and the beauty of his contract is essentially 4 1-year deals that they could get out of whenever they feel like if something go terribly wrong.
Oh, that's beautifully done. Good job, Goot. I got to give him a shout out for
Yeah.
that. But I mean, he's been amazing. He's exactly what I thought he was going to be. I'll never get out of my head what I thought them two could be together. I'll never forget the excitement I had when I thought they were going to have both of them. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm still a little salty about that feeling going away. Man, I was so mad the next day.
So let me ask you guys this, because it's something that I've been interested in over the last couple of days. Been reading from some of the beat writers and some of the people that have like Packers podcasts, and they're talking about the money that 2-3 would be owed if we trade him or release him, or dead cap space and all that stuff. Like, given his injury problems over the last couple of years, like, I already know in my head, I'm thinking, listen, cut bait. I think you move him while he's still attractive to other teams. I think I would love for Goot to take some better swings on some of these young corners in college. Like, again, and Burns, we talked about it a little bit. I'm like, the Eagles hit big with their secondary selections in Dishon and Mitchell.
They took our guy, man.
Yo, you seen him? We traded back as soon as he got picked.
They jumped us. We was about to get Cooper, man. They took him. As soon as I saw the trade happen, I said, "Them suckers got him." They knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
I hate him. He was ours, baby. He was ours.
So I think we either gotta look at that, or I think we gotta look at bringing in a different type of corner.
Now, when you say different type, what do you mean?
So a different type of corner, meaning, so corners are funny because it's always the loud and aggressive ones that get all the notoriety, but it's like the ones that don't say nothing that are like the best fits for every team. Like Stephon Gilmore is always going to be a great fit wherever he goes because he's a work type guy, right? Like, I would absolutely love to see our cornerback room with somebody like a Deron Bland. Like, we can get somebody like him, a good size corner that knows how to play the position, can play opposite of a good, CB1, even though we don't have one. I don't care what that dude that we don't talk about say. Yeah. But like, I think we got to start looking at different ways to get some of this talent, all of this talent on the field at the same time. Like, we gotta get Coop on the field. We gotta get McDuffie on the field a lot more.
McDuffie's a free agent.
And see, like him, like he's somebody that I wouldn't let walk out the door. Like, he becomes a Zach Bond for somebody.
They think he'll be kept because I think they said Halfley coached him in college. And they're like, that was one of the reasons why I guess he was able to translate the defense to the rest of the team when it was being installed. So the beat reporter is saying that he's probably going to be kept.
That's a good deal.
Listen, he's a good position guy. Again, man, I think all of it is really going to depend on what we're able to do with some of this cap space and how creative Goop can get with stretching some of these contracts. Because, if he can do that, like, I don't see a lot. Like, I think we could do well, like, drafting a young tight end. I don't think we need to go and get nobody. I would love to see us look at some of these other guards that are in the league, so maybe we can beef up, our depth chart there.
It's funny when you said you want a different type of corner, because I remember when the minute Jair got drafted, Justice Mosqueda, the first thing he tweeted out, he goes, "Ted is dead." And everybody's like, "What do you mean?" They were like, "That style of cornerback is not what the Packers generally take."
No.
And he was like, and that was the first sign I knew that Goot, I mean, he's still a Ted Ron Wolf disciple, but he went away from what is it called? The RAS, the relative athletic score. He went away from the chart that the Packers generally use.
And then he missed, because then you go back after Jair, and then not only Stokes, but then you bring Kevin King in too because you're going back to the typical and what we're used to.
That was Ted.
Oh,
so
Ted,
and that was before.
So Ted stuck with his plan.
His 6-1.
Go back with Stokes, and I know we were talking about him having a lot of injuries too. But I think, honestly, I think Stokes would have been a better safety for us than a corner. I think it was the same thing that they did with Savage, and I was really shocked that they let him go when they did. I thought he would have been a good piece too.
Do you see what they did though? Because I remember Christian Watson's dad had tweeted out, he was like, Savage should be a nickel. And then they get Bullard, and then Bullard's primary spot is nickel. And it was like, I get it. You missed on it with the first dude. And then whenever Williams got hurt, you'd have to move Bullard back to safety. But it was like they kind of learned their lesson. And it was like, this dude is a safety, but he's better off as a nickel.
Yeah, I think we're also in a good position, I think, because they had to say we can't keep Evan off the field. And I think that helped too, because you can't keep Evan off the field, and then Bullard definitely needs to be off the field. Like Bullard has the potential at some point to play like a Jamal Adams in a sense. Like he has that good of a ball hawking mentality, and he can hit.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to have those type players on the field. It's just like it or not. Listen, I think Quay needs to put his hand on the ground.
Right.
And how long have I been saying that to you?
And there was a game he played where he lined up on the edge next to, I want to say Van Ness, and he got to the quarterback, and I was like, oh, he could do this.
He has to listen, because early in his career, before Preston came over, like his winning was with his hand on the ground. Then when they tried to slip him in coverage and stuff like that, it didn't work. Like Quay is a freak athlete, right? Like a front. Think about this. Like when Spags went with that whole, when he was with the Giants and he had that NASCAR.
I love that defense
formation. Think about it, right? You're talking about Van Ness, Gary, Coop, Quay. Just go get them. Same type of athletes, same type of size, pause. But the ability is there. But again, this in Burns, you and I talk about it all the time. And I tell Burns all the time, like it's coaching. It's strategizing, it's planning. And like I say to Burns all the time, it's nowhere that these guys that give millions of dollars and they can't see it. Because you can see it. It's just like, you see it with our offense too. Like we gotta do stuff that's a little bit different, man.
Makes sense. All right, fellas, we've got 5 minutes here. And so before we get off of here, any final thoughts on what you want to see this offseason? Just any final thoughts on anything before we close out? Hopefully we'll be back here this time. We're gonna definitely come back and do something for the draft, but when free agency, when that time comes up. But until then, any final thoughts, fellas, before we run away for a month?
Empower the quarterback. Y'all paid this dude for a reason. I get it. Y'all want to run the ball, y'all can run the ball. Empower the quarterback. Give him the tools, give him the coaching. The talent is there. The boy showed you he can, go a stretch without throwing picks. Let's not neuter him completely though. Also on his side though, run. You have enough athleticism to run. There were times in that game where it was right there. Take off. Give the defense something to think about. So I just hope everybody lives up to the words that they said and they exit meetings and Googlers. Everybody trying to work harder. Jordan's exact words were, got to attack the off season. I see his girlfriend put up a picture of them. They were sitting on the couch and he was looking at game film. So, I'm happy you spending your time wisely. Just, come back and play Packer football. It's Title Town, not Settle Town.
There you go. What about you, D? Anything you got here to final thoughts?
So I'm gonna take this from Mike Tomlin. Don't seek comfort. top to bottom. Don't seek comfort. Go to the uncomfortable place. Go to the place of being humble and being able to learn and hear and seek help. Like, Matt, you're not a bad coach. I know I'm on you, but you got enough in your phone to get some help, right? All these players that had, subpar seasons, go get some help. Go get some help. Like, listen, and I'm not saying this to be funny or anything like that, but listen, 10, you learn from the man for 4 years. Go back and sit with him again. And hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying, bro. The reason I say that is that the one thing that we can't take away from 12, and nobody can, is that the football mind. I know he got his paper now.
He went straight to the pad. That's your fault, bro. You went straight to the pad as soon as you said it. Yeah, that's your fault. That's your fault.
You know what? I'm gonna just listen. Attack the off season. D, go ahead, because I don't even want to know what this dude about to put up here, man.
Well, look, I will. So my thing is, before we run away, let's see what he says first. Well, here we go. He smokes crack in the dark. Okay, there it is. He does. He smokes crack in the dark.
Ayahuasca.
Did y'all watch his Did y'all watch his thing on Netflix? I haven't watched
it
yet.
I haven't goldfish for brains, yo.
I have not watched it yet.
I'm gonna have to peek at it.
Yo, they doctored the documentary to make it look like it was Ted Thompson that was responsible for drafting Jordan. They asked Matt about it. He was like, Ted Thompson wasn't even around. Why did they do that? And Matt was like, I never said that. I never said that. But the way they edited it was like, yeah, Ted Thompson made a great call and drafted Jordan. I'm like, you hate Goot this much?
That's tough. That's tough. They wouldn't even give him credit for the draft pick. You gotta love it. I'm gonna watch it one day. I know it's like 3 episodes, so I'm gonna watch it one day. Yeah. My biggest thing with this is for me for the offseason, I just want to see the guys continue to grow. I do have faith in Goot. I think that he can get us where we need to be, but I do want to see a different type of aggression next year. I do not like what I saw at a lot of points during the season where it just seemed like, I want to say they just look lackadaisical. That playoff game for me was a lackadaisical game, and they still had a chance to win. I think that's what bothers me the most. They were down 16-10 with like 9 minutes to go, and a chance to still win a game against a team that's the number 2 seed in the conference, a team that they should have beat twice, not once, twice. Should have beat the Lions at least once. Should have beat the Vikings at least. Could have beat them twice. So it bothers me to see a team that I know is better than what we saw at times, but I know they're young, and we knew this. We're blessed because we prepared 2 years ago for a team to be on the rebuild, and we thought it'd be way longer. But I think the part of us is to see that the youth came along and they did what they got them where they need to be. Right for now, they've got I think Burns said it earlier. They're building that foundation with figuring out who's what, who's where, and now got to take that next step. So that's what I look forward to in the offseason. One last thing, real quick, fellas. Super Bowl prediction. Who you got?
Ravens.
You said Raiders?
Ravens. I want to see
Ravens
versus Lions because I want to see all them black folks descend upon New Orleans.
Rucker, who you got, brother?
Hey man, I need Lamar to get one this year, man. Mm-hmm. I would love to see you know what, man? Dark horse, because I think they playing with house money. Ravens, Commanders, the state of Maryland is going to go crazy.
All that means is your boy ain't gonna sleep for the next 2 weeks. That's exactly what I won't sleep until I won't sleep again until Valentine's Day.
Before we get out of there, Darrell, I want to thank you for creating this platform, giving us the opportunity to do this. It's not a lot of podcasts that have 3 brothers on it talking about the Green Bay Packers. You see what that stadium looked like on Sundays.
I've been there, brother. I've been there. I know exactly what it looks like.
And
they treated me good, though. They treated me good. So
because you look like AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon wasn't there yet. I love it.
You got a lot of responsibilities, and this is a passion project for you. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to say, thank you for creating this platform.
Oh man, I appreciate it, fellas. Like I said, I feel bad. I do feel bad for not being there full blown for a couple of weeks, but your brother was running like a track star.
Yeah, listen, D, I share the same sentiments, man. I thank you not only for the platform. But just inviting me and dealing with this crazy dude too. But great platform. I can't wait to continue doing what we're doing. And people, man, we here. There are Packers fans that look like you and look like us that know what we're talking about. So, for everybody else to do a Packers podcast, hey, get us on because we can get your numbers up too.
Yeah, we there. Yeah, come have fun with us. Come have fun with us. Once again, everybody, we'll be back. We're gonna come back out once free agency go, kind of get a feel for how things are then. So we'll be back to kind of to bring you a little bit of how we feel the Packers have done so far in the offseason. Once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in to Green and Gold over everything. We'll see you all in a month.